Everyone.
Yeah, you're live.
Okay, I'm live. Stuart tells me we are live. So if you are out there in YouTube land, chime in here. Say hello. Let us know that people are watching. And Stuart requests that if you put a question mark at the beginning of whatever comment you have to make, then he'll know it's a question right off and he can put them up on the screen so other people can see them. So, we already have one from Noreen Morrison. I am in zone 8 in Jasper, Georgia, and need to know if I'm still okay to plant the last of my color blend bulbs. Yes, I say go for it. I just planted the last of mine right before or right after Christmas, right after Christmas. So yes, and here's my thinking on that. If you don't plant them, they're guaranteed not to bloom. So definitely go ahead and get them in the ground, and I think you'll be glad you did. So there you go. Hi, Portland, Oregon. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to do. Okay, Jeannie Collier, what is one thing that you would definitely change if you could at your new home? Okay, this is so fun, Jeannie, because I was just talking to my friend Deborah, my BFF, who lives in the neighborhood about this just yesterday. And there are certain things I just can't change. And one of those, which I knew would bother me when we first moved in, and it still bothers me as much as I love the cottage, and that is that my front door opens right into the parlor, that I don't have like a vestibule, kind of a landing and launch space. I don't like it that immediately you're in the parlor. Conversely, I also in the back, I really would like to have a mudroom. I didn't have a mudroom at my other house either. I would really like to have a mudroom because I think that would make, it just makes transitions from outdoors to indoors, especially if you live a garden inspired life like we all do, just so much easier. Oh, update on Leah. And is her lady who took her place still there? Oh, hi, Sherry. Update on Leah. I think I shared this on one of my videos, but she came over, she and Coral, Coral who is helping me, but Coral lives in Minnesota, which is why you don't see her very often. She works long distance. But she and Leah are friends, which is how Coral came to work for me. And I saw Leah and her baby right before Christmas. We had a good long visit in the afternoon. I got to hold Izzy. It was just wonderful. And Leah, of course, as always, looks great. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful holiday visit. Do you still sell the seed packets for kiddos that you can color in? You can actually, French girl, you can actually buy those off of Zazzle, I think. Isn't that right, Stuart? Weigh in, Stuart. I think you can buy those off of Zazzle. I still have them. In fact, here I'm going to torque my computer. If you see in the corner there, you can see some of my books, and you can see right there on the second shelf a few of the ones they've colored for me, colored in. I've had lots of activity from the kiddos on the street over the holidays. Very, very many pictures and thank you notes and all sorts of dear things. In fact, I'm running out of room to put them up, and it's really going to be a problem when Danny starts coloring for me. I have two of your all-weather baskets from your QVC line. I feel lucky to have them. Will we ever be able to sell those again? Boy, I would like to. If for another reason, I would like more of them. They were probably the most popular thing in my QVC line, which most of you know I'm just not doing anymore. There were so many problems. Not so much QVC's fault, but it was right during COVID. So if I ever get the bandwidth to look at another source who could make them, I will, because I know somebody else that wants more of them is my buddy John Turman. He always comments on that when I go over there. They're just wonderful. I've had mine for I don't know how many years, Rosemary, and they're still just great, and they get a lot of wear and tear. So I will definitely try. So I've got a question for you all. Do you have your words of the year for 2026? As if you have watched any of my recent videos, I've been talking about things that I want more of and less of in the new year. Oh, Treeland, do you ever winter sow seeds in cartons? I do, and in fact, in the coming week, I'm cleaning out my seeds storage area, so we can talk about that then. Yes, I do. I not really so much in the winter as very, very late winter, so that I can put them outside before they become too stressed from a lack of light. I really don't have room for the whole lighting setup and everything that so many of you have. And I don't, and honestly, I don't have that much room even in the garden to plant a lot of things. So I'm really trying to very carefully curate what I do grow and what I don't grow. But yes, I do, and I will be going through my seed drawer together with all of you. Is your next trip filled up? I take care of my 89-year-old mother, and I've been creating my garden at her home. I have a friend that could stay with her, and I would love to come. So here's where we are. If you're talking about the boutique garden experience here in Oklahoma City, I've only mentioned it a couple times, and we've had tremendous feedback and interest. So we can only handle about 30 to 35 people at this point. We're assessing that. And so please, anybody who is interested, send your inquiry to Linda, to support@lindavater.com, so we can put down your contact information. And this week, something will be going out with the particulars as to pricing, the things we're going to do, the agenda. It's May 1st through May 5th, all of that kind of thing. And then at that point, we'll have your name on the list, and we will send out a link for payment, and whoever puts down the first 30 people that put down their deposit, or 35 who put down their deposit, they will be the ones that can attend. So that's how we're working. And probably, and this is speculation on my part, based on the level of interest, we might do more than one. We might in the future do a spring version and a fall version. And then also I spoke with my friend John in Connecticut for probably an hour and a half on New Year's Day, brainstorming about a lot of different things. And if this boutique garden experience works, then we will take the show on the road, and we may start doing some like in Falls Village and different places. So that's kind of where that goes. And we're working frantically. The person that I am working with, trying to get that out. Self-care, I missed that one up there, but yes, self-care is so important. Mine, Beth says mine is nourish. I think, I love the word, Woodland Gardener, I love the word focus. In years past, mine was clarity. Sherry, am I pronouncing that right? I don't have my glasses on. Exuberance. I love that. And I think sometimes exuberance and enthusiasm are very underrated in my experience. I think sometimes people make fun of me because I talk a lot, and I smile a lot, and I get maybe overly enthusiastic. But I'm not going to apologize for that, because I think enthusiasm is how we make it through life. And it enhances our experience, and it enhances the experience of others. Mine is more of a term, romance the ordinary. Well, Sandra, you know that's a big thing around here, romancing the ordinary, elevating what is sometimes inconsequential. And for me, I think that is just, it is just something that I think really has merit. Oh, Jerry, you just finished Emma M. Lyons Volume 1. Okay, and I have to laugh out loud. On page 1, 5th paragraph, she says, I digress. Something you say frequently. That I say that all of the time in the real life course. And maybe it's because I read so much old time literature. I don't know, but I say it all of the time, but it does kind of express what I mean. And I hope you like the Emma Lyons book. I think they are just charming. I just love them. Hi, Linda, this is Deb. Do I ever use Chat GPT AI for designing your garden or your interiors? I have not, Deb, for outside, but here is something I did recently. As you all know, the inside of the cottage was and is painted a very stark white. And I like it. But I'm always like all of you thinking, oh, but how could I improve it? How could I enhance the experience of living inside the cottage? And so I've thought about maybe painting it a little bit of a warmer color. And the other thing is, I want it to look a little bit more traditional. And so there are some areas that I'm thinking about adding additional molding. And so in chat, I took a picture of my kitchen and I asked it to put it into a warm taupey gray slash cream, some tones there, and it did that. And then I told him to add some, told it to add some molding, and it did that too. It even gave me paint recommendations for some colors I might examine. So it's just a way to kind of get a visual before you make a big commitment. And, you know, painting your room isn't a huge commitment. It's a lot easier than tearing down a wall or moving or other things to make you more satisfied with your surroundings. So yes, I have. I would like 2 of your half round plant stands from QVC. No, I'm sorry. Is that TLM? I'm sorry, because I just don't work with QVC anymore. Sometimes you can find something similar. It used to be called, I think, a terraced plant stand that was similar to the one I had on at Gardener's Supply. So you might want to check. You might want to check there. I've been a follower for years, Jennifer. I hope we get more thrifting in 2026. I'm a repurposed girl also, and I'd love to see how you do with your finds. My word for 2026 is self-maintenance. Ooh, I like that. I like that, self-maintenance, because that's what it is we do. And yes, there will be more thrifting in the new year. We had so much fun. And here's a little tease. I'll be going back to Connecticut in June, and my friend John Saldivar, we're going to go thrifting together at a couple of different places, and we're going to thrift, and then we're going to entertain and use whatever we find thrifted to set our tables and stuff, which I think will be very, very fun. So yes, we will be doing more thrifting. In fact, we might even be doing some of it next week, because as most of you enthusiastic thrifters know, that right after the new year is a great time to go thrifting, because people like me and you are cleaning out all of our stuff. Daughters Wood, what am I referring to in early May? So I've only mentioned it a couple of times because I don't have a physical like brochure to show you, which I will. But from May 1st to May 5th, we are going to have here what we are calling a boutique garden experience. Now, the garden is because we'll be visiting some gardens, you'll be visiting mine, but it's much more than that. It's much more holistic than that, surrounded by just garden-inspired living. And so we will be doing things. So many people come to Oklahoma City to visit the cottage, and then they're blown away by the neighborhood that I live in and how much there is to do in Oklahoma City. And so we're going to create a customized experience. So we're going to go to high tea at one of the very oldest buildings in downtown Oklahoma City. Some of this might still be a little tenuous because we're finalizing the particulars. Go to a famous steakhouse in downtown Oklahoma City and have some good Oklahoma beef. We'll be visiting the bombing memorial, which is very, very moving. Hopefully doing a book conversation at my favorite bookstore at Commonplace Books. I'm trying to nail that down. We will be visiting some gardens. We'll probably be visiting my friend John Turman's home and his garden. So it's just gonna and have some kind of like picnic lunch or something in my backyard where you guys can just roam around and see my gardens in my neighborhood. So I think it should be fun. So stay tuned. It's first come, first serve once we get the information out. A lot of you have already given me your names, and we will be sending you information first, and then as soon as we start getting in the deposits, that's where we'll know. And then we'll probably have another one later if it's successful. Would love to hear my word of the year. Okay, well, Marcella, happy place. So my word of the year. Well, let me first kind of build some suspense. In the past, I've had words of the year that included clarity, that included figure outable, that included two words, a phrase, be prepared. And for me, this year, it's about, mostly because I have noticed it's such a character flaw in my work and my personal life. And so my word of the year is consistency. I tend to be an idea person. And I have discovered that for those ideas to become manifest, that not only do I need help in that, but I need to be more consistent in my personal practices, in my follow up. I'm terrible, terrible at calendar management, and I'm trying to be better about that. And I'm somebody who is a little bit, somebody else's previous word of the year was focus. I don't want to say that I'm ADD, which, by the way, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I equate it with being high energy. Um, but I tend to be pulled in so many different directions that a lot of times I don't get closure on one thing before I move on to another. And so if I were more consistent in some of my practices, like checking my calendar every single morning, and consistent in lots of my stretching exercises, then I wouldn't have some physical impairments that I have. If I were more consistent about the time I got up and the time I went to bed, if I were more consistent about certain practices, like not looking at my phone first thing in the morning and not looking at my phone last thing at night. If I were more consistent about healthy practices that I've identified, then I think it would make me a more productive, happier person overall, and a little bit less obnoxious to other people, I guess, because I tend to hop around. Uh, Cat Roy says boutique gardening trips around the U.S. is an awesome idea. Don't you think so? Let's see. Recommend for full sun. Let me digress for a minute. I would say white wedding. Yvonne. Um, there are I travel a lot with Garden Gate. I used to travel a lot with my husband. We travel all sorts of places. Recently, I've traveled a lot with Garden Gate magazine, and we've gone on these garden tours in Europe, and I absolutely love them. But there are so many areas of the United States that I have not seen with wonderful gardens, like Longwood comes to mind. I haven't been to Longwood. Other areas that I consider really to be personal favorites of mine that I would love to share with other people, like Santa Fe, Falls Village, Connecticut. And there are just different local areas that I think have so much to commend them that aren't necessarily always on other people's radar screen. Like I love Portland, Santa Barbara. There's just different kind of places. And wouldn't it be fun to have garden-inspired living boutique experiences in those places, going to experience the culture, the culinary trends and culinary flavors of that area, the gardens, the bookshops, the shopping, the thrift stores. So anyhow, I agree with you completely. Marie Claire says, I'm in North Texas, and many of us here are seeing our tulips come up already, me included, due to the warm temps. Are you seeing that in Oklahoma? Not yet. I am seeing daffodil tips coming out, and it's been so warm that it has me nervous. But all we can do is just wait. I do think the other shoe will drop and it will get cold again. And I bet you in North Texas will too. But all we can do is do what we can do and just wait and see. My word for 2026 is refresh. I plan to refresh everything in my life, from my homes to my hairstyle and health, and even my technology. Judy, you're a badass in the best way. I love that. I think and I say this as somebody who finds change very difficult, but I think it is one of the most life innovating things there is. It requires bravery. It requires creativity. It requires getting outside your comfort zone. And I think it requires just looking at things in a new way, which is one of the reasons I love to read. I've been listening to Marcel Proust, Swan's Way, and it may seem like a strange classic to be reading. Actually, I'm listening to it. but it makes me look at my life in a different way, which I think is wonderful. Matt, is it possible for one to acquire too many baskets? And I would say no. Because for a number of different reasons. Number one, obviously you have to have space for them. And number two, maybe if they're a fire hazard, no. But I have so many baskets that I use for different purposes. And I also use them as gift wrap or to gift lots of things. Like my traditional housewarming gift that I give people is within a basket. So I think that there's so many different ways that baskets can be used. And especially if you thrift for baskets, so many different ways they can be used for storage and organization, and not always out, where you can see them, but sometimes inside drawers. And I think, Matt, you answer this question for me. What is it that we find so appealing about them? All of you answer that. What is it we find so appealing? For me, I think it's the texture, it's the organic quality. I love the tonal coloring. I just love all of that. Is there a solution to kill a bird planted oak that has taken hold in an azalea bush? And there's a couple of things you could do. Probably the easiest thing is to have some pruners nearby and just keep pruning it at the base, and eventually you will starve it of all of its food source, which is the foliage, and eventually it will die out. You could, in a very, very targeted way, put some brush kill on it, but I would just say, just keep whacking it off. Just keep whacking it off at the bottom. That's what I have done effectively in the past. Amanda says, love you and your content. Simple elegance is my word or phrase for 2026. Amanda, I would just concur with that. I find that maybe informed by moving to a smaller footprint that I want less, but what I have, I want to be more and more beautiful. Now, that said, I sometimes have to move things around more. I have to find that beauty of expression in different places. Maybe at someone else's home, maybe from a design perspective. But I think you're right. And increasingly, that simple elegance I am finding in just organic things, beautiful fruits, beautiful branches, beautiful foraged items, the contours of a beautiful branch, what you might find on the beach, what you might find in a beautiful stone. So that's something that I think appeals to both of us. My myrtle topiaries died. I live in Tulsa. I left them out mid-November because it was so warm, brought them in, and now they all died. What happened? I would double check to make sure that they are really most sincerely dead. Now, if you assume they were dead and you quit watering them, then they are dead. It could just be the shock of bringing them in, because they will lose some of their leafy foliage when you bring them in under the best of conditions, because it's much warmer inside, there's much less light, there's less humidity. So first I would say, try to trim them back and give them a good water and a very gentle feed of almost any kind of water-soluble fertilizer, and see if they come back. If they don't, then you'll just have to try again. But don't feel bad and don't let it discourage you, Erlene, because I have killed my share of them. I just love them so much that I keep getting more whenever I can find them. And sometimes I have found my problem is I sometimes just have too many to take care of. And so one of them that I have used in a display somewhere, I ignore, and then it suffers the consequences. What hydrangea would do best in the shade? Have been watching for years. Thank you, Judy. I really like oak leaf hydrangeas. Now, really, I think we think of hydrangeas as really liking the shade, but what they really want, almost every variety wants morning sun and afternoon shade. Now, when it starts getting really, really hot, they want very little morning sun, but they need that sun to be able to bloom effectively. So that said, what I have found to get good bloom and good performance of the plant and the bloom and the foliage is probably just some of the oak leaf hydrangeas. I think they do really, really well. But I have to say, I love White Wedding and I love Moon Dance. Those are both Southern Living plants, and they seem to me to work in both sun and shade, but they bloom a lot more heavily in sun. More John Turman, just love his style. Well, we all love John Turman. And I he's just a doll. There are some people I meet that I just hit it off with, and John is one of them, and we've been friends for years now. Um, laughingly, I have so many friends named John that I laughingly call them my Johns. Um, John Fluitt, John Turman, John Saldivar, uh, and and because we all have kind of some of the same interests. But I agree with you. I love John Turman. He is so talented. And yes, we will be doing a lot more things in the coming year. More thrifting. You guys seem to really love the thrifting things, so we'll be doing more of that. And yes, we will be doing more thrifting for gifting. We'll be doing that too. Any possibility you will produce a jigsaw puzzle of the photo on the cover of the Elegant and Edible Garden? Wow. What a great idea. Maybe I'll do that. Wow, Joan, what a great idea. Would you send that idea to support@lindavater.com? And if anybody else out there might want one, let me know. Hi, Linda. This is Alice from Evansville, Indiana. Will you have a garden walk in 2026? We bought tickets for last October, but unfortunately we had to cancel our trip at the last minute. I'm going to try. I'm getting my year's obligations scheduled out. And so what we did in the fall, in October of 2026, was actually a fundraiser for breast cancer research. And I'm going to guess we'll probably try to do that again. It was a big money raiser for them, which I'm so appreciative of. And so I imagine for one cause or another, it's kind of my way to give back. One thing of self-knowledge is that I know I am not a great person to have on a committee, to make phone calls, to do organizing, to put together graphics, to monitor email lists. I'm not good at that. But how I can give back is in those kinds of ways, where I open my garden, where I do public speaking, things like that. Why do you think boards make aesthetic decisions in HOAs? I don't know, Christine, because I am in a historical preservation area. And I know that is based on staying true to the integrity of the history of the neighborhood. So I know that. But that said, somebody could paint their front door bright pink and there's nothing to stop them. But if they tried to switch out one kind of window for another, that would be against the regulations. So it seems a little strange to me. But I don't know. That might be a good question to ask ChatGTP. Whatever it is, AI. I think maybe because they want a certain kind of uniformity, and they think the uniformity will enhance the attractiveness of the entire area, and any big outlier decision might make a difference. I'm not really sure. You might ask them. You might attend one of the meetings and ask them. If thrifting in Connecticut, go to New Milford, Connecticut Flea Market, best around. Okay. I'm assuming that you are from that area. So yes, if anybody in that area has any kind of recommendations for us to go thrifting, then please let me know. We went to an antique store in Millerton, I believe it was. But we're going to try to do some real thrifting, like flea markets and things. So please let me know. My word for 2026 is be okay to not be okay. Boy, you're showing some wisdom there. I think it's very okay to not be okay. And I think sometimes you need to give yourself permission for that. I think we all, there's this tension between, if you're like me, and I think this is a good thing, we're constantly trying to self-improve. We're trying to constantly self-improve, improve our characters, improve our dispositions, improving our communities, improving our relationships, improving the quality and organization of our home, all of those kinds of things. And so then we tend to be hard on ourselves when we're just too tired for that kind of improvement. And sometimes you need to just say, I'm doing a timeout. I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with how this relationship is progressing. I'm not okay with the direction this is going. I'm just not okay. So I'm taking a timeout. And I think that shows a lot of wisdom, Taryn. Would I ever go to Mackinac Island, or have I been there? I have not been there. And my sister Meg has been a number of times. My husband has been there a number of times. And I have not. And I think it would be, Beverly, I think it would be a brilliant place to go. I think it would be. And in fact, please, all of you listening, we'll start keeping a running tally of all the different places you mentioned that might be good venues for these boutique garden experiences. I just think it would be wonderful. My friend Kristen at Garden Gate and we were talking and saying that as much as we both love all of these trips, just garden exclusive trips to Europe, that as I grow older, I want them fleshed out a little bit more. I want other things mixed in with that a little bit more, because after a while, it's probably just me and my memory, they all kind of begin to go together. And so I would like to flesh out a little bit more the geography of the area and, just those kind of things. Matt, you're a basket slut as well. Can we say that? Yeah, I think it is. My mom was. My mom was. She'd probably die if she heard me now calling her a basket slut. But I don't think it's such a bad thing. It's Alice again. I thought at one time you mentioned you had a family in Jasper, Indiana. So you must. Yes, I do, Alice. Yes, I do. And when my mom and dad were at the St. Charles Assisted Living Facility there in Jasper for many, many years. Originally, they lived on the campus, and then they lived in the Full Care Center. And when I went home to help take care of them, I would fly in and out of Evansville and then go to Jasper. My brother, I'm not sure if this is his official title, but it's how I remember it. My youngest brother, Tom, is the Parks and Recreation Director there. I'm going to call him that. And he's absolutely delightful. So if you're ever there, look him up. His last name is Moorman, Moorman. That was my maiden name. I would love it if you could visit Morocoma Gardens, especially at the Preppy Gardener near Tulsa. He has a YouTube channel and works at Sanderson Nursery in Broken Bow. And yes, we can definitely try to do that. A lot of it is because when we do those ones that are kind of far away, that is a huge chunk of time. And it's not just a huge chunk of my time, it's a huge chunk of Stuart's time. But I agree with you completely. And Tulsa would also be a great place to have a boutique garden experience. That's, too. So maybe I just need to go up there and stay a couple of days and we could tour lots of different gardens. Do you still have that big, beautiful jade plant, Paula? Yes, I do. But it right now is in my friend's greenhouse, because I have so much stuff in the living room, or in the great room rather, at Christmas. That's where I had a couple of small trees and things, and that's where the jade plant was. And actually where it was, it didn't get quite enough light. So when I bring it back out, I'm going to rethink its positioning. It might even have to go in the parlor. I'm just rethinking where it will be. At the other location I frequent a lot, there's a big snowball viburnum. Google says no pruning till spring. Are there any exceptions? It's looking pretty bad. Well, I prune mine on areas that, now, that said, very conservatively. You don't want to do any huge pruning. But if, I limb up my snowball viburnum. So if there's a lot of outlying branches at the bottom, then I will prune those off because I want the silhouette of it to be clean. As it approaches spring and I see some of those buds, beginning to flesh out, then I might also be pruning some of those branches to see if I can bring them in and force them. So if it's just a few outlier branches to improve its overall form and its silhouette, then I don't think it's a problem. But don't do any major pruning on it because you might prune off a lot of its blooms for next year. So share with me some more of your words of the year. Will you continue to have laser treatments? And if so, what type do you recommend? Rosalie, yes, it's one of the things I do for myself. I haven't had one for a pretty long time. And the other thing is the technology on those changes so frequently that, I started out doing microdermabrasion, and then there were different ones you could do. There was one called, I think, Vivace, and then there was something else. There's Halo. And so yes, I had a little bit, probably because I was around, I don't know, maybe allergens inside and going from hot to the cold. I kind of had a little bit of a rosacea flare up around the holidays. So I'll get something else. And when I do, I will definitely let you know. I go to Ace Premier Aesthetics in Oklahoma City, and they are wonderful. They are all, most of them were ER nurses actually before they went there. So I have complete trust in them. What would be a safe product to deter the rabbits in my garden? I'm not sure. I would ask AI maybe, because I'm just not sure, and I'm not sure where you live and what would constitute, safely. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to be much help on that. But I would ask maybe AI, or just Google it. Just Google it and see what comes up. There's other gardeners out there far more well-versed in that than I. My word of the year is glow up. Oh, Linda, do share. Do give me more information on how you define that. That could have many, many interpretations, which are the best kind of words of the year. So let me know. I would love to know that. Any plans to come to North Texas in 2026? Not thus far, but you never know. This time of year, around the latter part of January is when I start getting all sorts of requests for speaking engagements and things. And so I'll let you know. Karen, the Elephant Flea Market is in New Milford, Connecticut. Please would you do me a favor, Elena, and send me an email to support@lindavater.com and let me know that, because we'll start making a list of those places. As a woman, this is Garden Gal, as a woman, mom, wife, and teacher, I'm always thinking and giving to others when I can end up last. This year, I've adopted the phrase, the year of me, self-care, more garden, focusing on joy. I applaud you, Garden Gal. I applaud you. I think that is so true of so many of you, especially teachers, I might add. My dear friend and neighbor across the street, Jenny, is the perfect example of that. She is constantly giving to others, her kids, taking care of her mom, her students. And I think that's so true. And I think a certain amount of selfishness is a good thing, and it's necessary. It's necessary, because if something happens to you, you can't be there for others. So I heartily applaud that. Hi from Crossville, Tennessee. That's a beautiful area. I understand you lived in Knoxville. My word is faith. It helps me deal with life issues. I've watched your program for years and loved it. Hope to meet you someday. How kind. That's someplace I should do a boutique garden experience, is someplace in Tennessee, because I love Tennessee. I have such fond memories of the mountains there. And yes, my word is, your word is faith. And I think sometimes just to make it from one day to the next, we have to have faith in a higher spirit, faith in others, faith in the basic goodness of people, faith that we have the strength to carry on, faith in our ability to get things done, and to make it, faith in our ability to make a difference. And so I love that. Linda, I am enjoying the chat. Could you possibly let me know where you purchased that beautiful planter that has your amaryllis in it? Oh, the blue and white one. I think, Catherine, you asked me about that in something, and I'm trying to remember where I got it. I want to say it was someplace like TJ Maxx, but you know what? If you can somehow screenshot a picture of it from my video and then just do Google Lens and see if you can find one similar. It wasn't real expensive. It's not an antique or anything like that. I think I got it at TJ Maxx. So that's what I'm thinking. How's my new grandbaby, Kay? Well, she's perfect. Okay, here, let me show you something. This is one of the gifts I got for Christmas. It's a little bit distorted on screen. But yeah, this is my lumbar pillow for my chair. She is absolutely wonderful. She's starting to laugh. She's exceptionally bright, advanced for her age. And we absolutely adore her. And I just love her. And I'm going to go up there later in the month to help take care of her while my daughter-in-law Taylor has to go on a trip. So I can't wait. You know how babies are so scrumptious. It's like you need to almost consume them to satisfy yourself. That's how I feel. It's like I want to actually eat her up. You said you had a terrible memory. I do too. How can you remember books you have read, though? I don't remember all of them. I only remember those that really make an impression. And sometimes I don't even remember. I might remember the title, and then I remember a particular scene in that book, or I remember a particular, I have color grapheme synesthesia. So I'll read a book and I'll remember the overall color of how the book made me feel. I'm trying to be good actually about keeping a record of what books I read. So I talked to my son Johnny in Singapore today, and we were talking about different books that we have read. And lately I've really kind of been into the classics, and I thank Edith Wharton for that. So Edith got me reading all sorts of different, not only of her works, but now I'm beginning to read some Henry James. And she, at the end of her autobiography, was talking about reading Marcel Proust. So now I'm reading, so now I'm listening to that. I also just have other books that I just pick up and read. Like I don't read them all at once. I read snippets, like The Garden Maker. What was I reading that had so many beautiful passages in it? It seemed like I was highlighting every passage. So I guess that's how I remembered. How do you remember what books you've read? And sometimes the act of sharing the name of the book with somebody else, like sharing Vinegar Hill with you or those Emma Lyon books, that helps me remember. Do I have any luck keeping rosemary topiaries alive and thriving? If yes, what's the secret? Okay. I would say, Kendall, it's very hit or miss. I have one rosemary topiary inside right now, and it seems to be doing well. You have to give it more water than you would think. I think that's a misconception that is spread in different resources, and that's that it's very drought tolerant and it doesn't require a lot of watering. I have found it to be like myrtles. Once you let it dry out, it's gone. So I do try to keep it well watered. That said, I also want to give it good air circulation because it can get powdery mildew and spider mite. And and give it as much sun as possible. And then if you don't kill it and you keep it pretty respectable looking, then put it back outside in the spring, give it some TLC and it will come back. But that said, I have lost some. And to make you feel better, sometimes you're losing them, not because of any care you are or are not giving them, but because it was already kind of compromised by being in too small of a pot, or in an area in the store that was getting too many extremes in cold and heat and things like that. So again, do not beat yourself up. Enjoy it for its tenure, thank it for its service, and then send it to the compost pile in the sky. My word is diligence. And that's, I can tell so many of you are like-minded, that we're kind of constantly trying to self-improve. And I love that about us. I love that about women in general and our age in particular. My 2026 word of the year is trust, trusting my intuition, the timing of my life, and what's quietly unfolding without forcing clarity. Airy Berry, whatever your name is, I think that's so true. I think it's along those same lines of faith. I think it's along the lines of quietly observing. And I'm writing my newsletter for this coming week. That's one of those things I'm trying to be more consistent about. And one of the analogies that I use is that in 2026, I'm trying not to take the bull by the horns. I'm just trying to coax it in a certain direction. And I think that overall that might be a little bit more effective if we just try not to be so urgent about it, but calmer about it. And I think your word trust really falls into that. And I love that about your intuition, because I think it's very underrated. I have lots of callas and other plants that during the year I give away if anyone wants any. Is that something you could start a list of? For people that might want them from you, Trillin, I'm not sure what I mean. If you could flesh that out a little bit. Yes. Hi, Linda and Stuart from Louisville, Kentucky. The first week of May is Derby week, so we'll have to wait. Minimize is my word. Which plant is the easiest to turn into a topiary? Oh, I like minimize. I do like that. It has so many different interpretations. Which plant is the easiest to turn into a topiary? For me, by when you say easy, that has two different definitions. One is how quickly and rapidly does it assume the form of a topiary? But then also, how easy is it to grow once it assumes a topiary form? So I think one of the easiest to grow once it assumes its form is boxwood. And I can leave it outside during the winter. I don't have to bring it in. And I have just had good luck, and it's just so good looking. Other kinds of topiary that I think will very quickly are Eugenia, and what's the other one? Oh, a lot of the things that I shop my garden, I steal from my garden. So things like just little starts of different plants that come up. They might be laurels, they might be little evergreens, but almost anything can be fashioned into a topiary. So here's my general answer to that. The easiest thing to transform into a topiary is something that already in its natural growing habit has started to assume that form. And you can affect that at the front end by what you buy and what you dig up and what you transplant. Okay, thank you, CFTW5. For bunnies, I met a bay from my herb garden where I plant for them exclusively. Oh, well, that's interesting. That is interesting. Did Taylor get you a Frameo for Christmas? Haha, I recommended that to her when she asked for grandparent gift ideas. If not, you need one. Actually, Chris, she did not, but it's because somebody has, I think it's my friend Deborah. Who has an extra brand new one that she is going to give me. But I need one, want one, because what I find myself doing, Chris, is I go back on my phone to look at pictures of Danny like 4 and 5 times a day, and the little videos and things, and it's getting more addictive as she gets older and cuter and more expressive. But yes, that was a great idea. And actually that topic came up, Chris, maybe from your conversation with Taylor, because I discussed it with my friend Deborah. Hi from Ohio. I lost someone so dear to me in 2023, and my words for this year is regain my joy. Ellen, I am so sorry. I am so sorry for your loss. And I think it really conveys the misconception that when you lose someone, you should just immediately pull yourself up by the bootstraps and get over it. And it's a process. I think it's definitely a process, and you'll still be in that process for many, many years, probably until you die. But I love that. Regain your joy, and here's my only recommendation on that. It's what I did in my most recent video when I was trying to decide how to make my 2026 better. Is what do I want more of? And for you, the trailer would be that give me joy. And the other is what do I want less of that will decrease unhappiness and leave you more open to joy. So that's what I would say for that. So if reading gives you joy, if gardening gives you joy, if holding babies gives you joy, if cooking gives you joy, any of those kind of things, but it does require some careful introspection, and things that didn't used to give you joy may now give you joy in your current place. Love your content so much. Happy New Year. 2 questions. How do you organize all of your screenshots of ideas? And is your husband's family from Salida? No, DC, or whatever your name is. He is not from Salida. We just love Salida. He is actually from Enid, Oklahoma, which is a bit northwest of Oklahoma City. It's about an hour and 45 minutes from here, or less. And that's where he is from. Neither one of us are from Colorado. I'm not even from Oklahoma. And oh, thank you, Matt, telling people don't forget to like the stream in the chat. Thank you. Stuart, can you go back? Can you go back to that previous question? I've got Sherry's up now. It was the one before Matt's. Oh, how do I organize all of my screenshots of ideas? That is an ongoing issue. Trust me. And I am, so basically here's what I'm doing. But if you've got a better idea, I am always open to it. I take a screenshot and then I will put it into a specific album of ideas. And I try to name that album of ideas. So for example, right now, I want my cottage to, this may be a construct that's difficult for you to see what I mean, but I want it to look more like an English apartment. so hence I want more molding. And so anything that seems to me to capture that idea, I put in that screenshot of ideas, or I might, and then I might have a similar Pinterest board that I call that. The other thing that I've been doing is I shared this with you guys a long time ago, is I'm trying to be consistent about this, is every day on that date, I search that date. So today I am searching January 4th, and I am trying to go through all those pictures that I took in on January 4th, getting rid of a lot of them, but looking for just those kind of screenshots that I might want to execute one of those ideas. And that re-inspire me, which is also, by the way, one of the reasons that I reshare my videos. I know some of you don't like it. You feel like they're reruns and I'm somehow cheating. But there is still so much to be gleaned, even for me, of going back and watching those old videos. It like, oh, I remember how I potted something and I forgot that I'd done it that way. Or, oh, I forgot that I loved this idea from my friend John's, or I loved this idea when I was shopping at the mall. And so that's kind of how I do that. Great question. Do you feel as vibrant and young as I seem? Oh, how kind, Sherry. I would say most of the time I do, which I think goes back to being enthusiastic. But trust me, Sherry, I don't want to pull the wool over your eyes, because I am not always happy and upbeat and enthusiastic. You guys have seen that. Sometimes I am really down. And this is kind of reflects back to someone when they said sometimes it's okay to not be okay. And there are a couple of times of year um, that sneak up on me, where I really get down on the dumps, down in the dumps, because I had a number of personal losses at that period of time. I lost a brother, I lost a very good friend, and I get down in the dumps, and I just let that be okay for me. I don't even really try. Um, but I would say in general, and you can, I tell you what, I'll put this out there. If any of you have been to the cottage and met me, what do you think? Do I come off in real life like I come off on camera? Stuart could even answer that question. So I would say I I try to be as young and vibrant, but do I sometimes feel, oh, I'm so old because my hip flexors hurt, plantar fasciitis hurts? Yes, yes, and then but then I try to, one thing I do, and what I love your handle picture, Sherry, because you look like you're a very enthusiastic person. Is I'm really intent now on trying to find solutions to things, and that's one of the reasons, as scary as it is, I like AI, because it's really helped me. It's one of the reasons, by the way, this is not a sponsored post. It's one of the reasons I love that Function Health platform, because it's really helped me come up with some solutions to problems. Would I consider doing a calendar with some of my beautiful photos from your garden and your cottage? Thank you so for watching, and look forward to having a video on the subject. Barbara, that's so interesting, because Stuart and I just talked about that yesterday. That is something, here, I'll show you. Excuse me for just a moment. Because you can see that I did not discard these. So in the past, we did put out a calendar with recommendations, with a what to do in your garden when. Here is one of them. I don't know if you can see that very well. And here was another one. I did it, I think the last one I did was in 2020. And then that's when I got involved in so many other things, and QVC, and I wasn't consistent about it. So if you would share with me here, if you would be interested in me resurrecting that, then yes, I would definitely try to do that. Trillin, do I have a favorite podcast? I have, I guess I would say I have several. And I kind of come and go with them. I love Gretchen Rubin's Happiness Project, or Happier Project podcast, because I find it consistently informative with very tangible ideas. I also love it because she often makes literary references, and I like that, because then it tells me that it might be something that I want to read. I like it because it seems very common sense, and it tackles world life issues. I also love any podcast, particularly right now, given what our country is experiencing, history podcasts. So I love listening to different historians. I find those really beneficial. There is, then there's another, I cannot remember the name of it. But there are a few that are just inspiring, that I find listening to, about overcoming difficulty and transcending difficulty. There was one on books I used to listen to. There's some on organization that I sometimes listen to. But I would say, as a favorite part, I'm not one to listen to those that are like mysteries and serials and things like that. I prefer listening to books on tape for that kind of thing. And there's so many new podcasts out there. I should do a roundup of my podcasts, because right now so many of the names of them aren't coming to mind. Karen says, I lost my beautiful mother to Alzheimer's yesterday. Karen, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. She was my best friend and rock. In the interest of self-care, I decided to take time to step out of my head and tune into you. I am so sorry, Karen. I think we have all lost someone like that, and it's very difficult. So I hope, Karen, that you feel our collective love coming your way. And please practice lots of self-care. Be kind to yourself. Um, and but how lucky you were that you had a mother that was so important to you. Um, you were very blessed in that regard. Uh, Victoria says, my word of 2026 is stride. Thank you for the high quality. Ooh, that's a good one, Victoria. That's a really good one. It exudes confidence. It exudes stepping out of your comfort zone, trying new things, um, magnitude of effort. I love that. Love that. My name is Erin. My dad always called me Airy Berry. Oh, my husband wants to know how you and Stuart came to know each other. We love both of you. Well, Airy Berry, I love that. And one of the reasons that my grandmother's name is Lenny, or at least it is to this point, is because my whole family, but especially my mother and dad, called me Skinny Lenny. And so Lenny was always a word of endearment from my family. And so I love Airy Berry. That's so cute. Stuart and I came to know each other because many, many years ago, Southern Living Plant Collection wanted us to produce professional commercial content for them and for their website. And so we did that, and then we started doing some other things together, and then we started doing YouTube because my Instagram account got hacked, and that's kind of how we really. But we've known each other for like, gosh, 10, 12 years now, Stuart. Oh, Morel, that's, I'm probably pronouncing that, but a hug for anyone who needs it. You know what? There's a lot of people out there who need a hug, so let's just all give each other a hug. Here's a hug. Watch this special on Dick Van Dyke that I just watched. Because just watching him is a big hug because he's such a dear man. Never been to Oklahoma. What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about Oklahoma City? Boy, one is that every day we have a tornado, which isn't true, but we do have extreme weather. We do have extreme weather. I will say that. But we don't all have oil fields in our front yard, and we're not all farmers. I think, okay, here's what I think. Oklahoma City is far more cultured and educated than sometimes I think it's presented when people are being interviewed. Um, and I say that not in a snobbish way, and certainly not as a diss to anybody in rural Oklahoma. But Oklahoma City has so many museums. It's got a fabulous ballet. It's got great bookstores. It's got an. I just think it's that it's just more sophisticated and far more interesting. It's a wonderful place to visit. There is so much to do here, so much to do, which is one of the reasons we decided to do this boutique garden experience here. I love our mayor is wonderful, and we have wonderful, wonderful history. So, is that teal colored vase behind you a McCoy vase? Yes, it is. And are you a collector? I'm glad, because a friend of mine that gifted that to me was a collector long, long ago. She collected McCoy. And I love that kind of teal color, as so many do. Here, let me go like this. You can see that I've got more teal above it. And maybe I need to shoot more from my office. I don't know. Do I get sad when taking down the Christmas tree? On the contrary, no, I do not. I've already got all my trees down. I took down yesterday the very beautiful blue tree, the silver tree in my parlor. And I'm so ready. One of the things I'm enthusiastic about is January. I love January. I love the non-urgency of January. I sometimes feel like it's the only month where I can sit back and really take a deep breath and get my head above water. I can organize things. I can dream. I talked if you haven't watched my video yesterday about dreaming, I can plan. I have the luxury of looking through so many of my beautiful, beautiful books. I have more time to read. Um, I love more time. I have more time to just sit in front of the fire. I don't generally sit a lot. And so it gives me permission to sit a little bit more. So I love it. Suda, Iwata, Highland, I'm sure I'm in zone 10, Southern California. My wedding hydrangeas look pretty much like yours from your last video. When do we prune the dried golden blooms off? Well, for me, and it definitely could be different for you, dear, than it is for me, and because you're in zone 10 and I am in zone 7, I typically wait till it gets much closer to last frost. So probably when I'm actually, here's when I do it. I start doing it as the tulips are beginning to bloom, because I don't want their dead presence to really mar the beauty of the scene, of the tableau that is the spring show. And so that's when I cut them. The reason you don't want to really kind of cut them prematurely is sometimes if you have a very, very hard late freeze, the blooms are actually protecting some of the new growth and the new buds. Linda, you are more vibrant and beautiful in person. I had the pleasure of meeting you several times. Oh, how kind, Laura. Well, I do. Hi, Linda. Yeah, she said she met all of us in person, and you were all very friendly. Well, we're friendly here in Oklahoma. That's the other thing. Oklahoma City is just so friendly and lovely. Love a calendar with the beautiful pictures. Yeah, I need to do more. I need to do more of that. And one of the things I am struggling with right now is, do I want to do a book on the cottage garden after I've lived here for a little bit longer, as kind of a homage to it, the way I did an homage to my other garden. So I'm thinking about that. A calendar would be okay. Stuart, are you reading all of these? Stuart, are you reading all of these? Wait, it's so ironic. Was that just today or yesterday, Stuart, that we were talking about this? I still have your calendar from a few years ago. I was really hoping you'd make another one again. Okay, so obviously it's a little late to do one for this year, but we will vow to try to do one for 2027, which means, Stuart, we need to start working on it now. My word for the year is positivity. I want to talk it, walk it, and use it in all areas of my life, from my social circles and anything else I want my energy on. And you are so right, because it's not just a gift to yourself. It is a gift to everyone around you, especially when things seem kind of doomish and glummy. Because who do we admire most during periods in our history? During the Civil War, I've been watching the American Revolution, and I've been watching lots of history, and it's those people that gave us strength and hope and positivity, and the sense that this too shall pass, whether, quite frankly, you survive it or not. And so I think that's a wonderful gift to others. Oh my goodness, student, it's 3:08. I would love to get a rowing machine. You really make it look so fun, hopefully for Mother's Day. I do love my rowing machine. Now, I have taken a little bit of a break from it because you guys are going to get sick of hearing this, but and this is something that has plagued me my entire adult life. And I get hip flexor issues, and I'm having a little bit of a flare up right now. So I'm waiting till that dies down, and then I will get back on it. It's just so good. It's just so good. Averon's the best. Hi, Linda. I was fortunate enough to meet Taylor and Jamie out to dinner in Denver right before Danny was born. I just want to compliment you on your delightful family. Love you, Stephanie. Aren't they? They just are. One of the things I love best, and that maybe you love best about your kids, is it's not just because they're my children, it's because they're good adults. They're good human beings. And I'll make sure to tell them, Stephanie, because I think, was it at maybe Hillstone? Probably was at Hillstone, because that's their favorite restaurant where they go. Or the other one, Cherry Creek Grill. That's where they always go. So it's probably one of those places. But I will send them your hellos and mention it to him. Yes, Kat. Stuart's word for 2026 is his calendar. Tropical Twist Jardin. Hi, Linda, you're such an inspiration, Lisa in France. Thank you. And can I just say that here's my, and maybe I'll close on this. My crush for the moment is it Sharon Sandini, Sharon Sandoni, from France. She's got a book, My French Country Cottage. I love her Instagram. I love her aesthetic. I can really be a Francophile and I'm going to Normandy. That's part of it too. I'm going to Normandy in July. So let me know where you're from, and why you have that as a handle. Tropic, why that tropical part is part of your handle if you do that kind of gardening. Boy, we went over time. So thank you guys so much. We are I'm going to try to be consistent about doing these YouTube lives on the first Sunday of every month. So start saving up your topics this time, and I'll try to share what my top kind of general topic is going to be. This year it was French countryside. I transform my garden to hardy. Wonderful. That's so fun. Send me some pictures. I am going to try to be consistent about that on the first Sunday, and I will try to share kind of what my topic for that month is. This year, it was obviously your word of the year. And I have not only been, and hopefully will continue to be, inspired and informed by my own word of the year, but yours as well. Thank you guys so much. I do consider you to be my friends. And please, I really want to give a shout out to those who have lost someone recently or otherwise, because it's a difficult time, especially in January when there's not a lot of sun. So please, if there's not a lot of sun, bask in the sunshine that is the warmth we are all collectively sending your way. So stay in touch. I don't think we have our video up for today yet, but I think you'll enjoy it. It's got some great organizational tips in it, and I hope you are enjoying these kind of topics for the new year. Love you guys, and I will see you in another Linda Vater